All right, welcome again, everyone. Believe in Bills, presented by FanDuel. Adam Benigni with WGRZ-TV and Sports Talk Live Buffalo, and there he is, Sal Maiorana, within the friendly confines of the home office today with the Bills office. We recorded on this Friday after 2 rainy days, man.
2 rainy days over there.
Rainy days over at Fisher, yeah.
Of course, most people got wet. Somebody didn't. That would be me. Adam, I don't understand why more reporters don't realize there's a press box right above the bleachers at Fisher. You stay high and dry. You get the best view of practice. But generally, I'm like all alone up there. Matt Perino has been coming up lately because he realizes, why haven't I been doing this? Your buddy John Scott showed up Thursday, realized because Perino told him. He said, geez, why have I been up here? I said, dudes, I've been up here for a long time. So, I was high and dry. Everybody else was soaked at Fisher because we did have lousy weather. It's been unusual because typically they've had really good luck with weather here in Rochester. Nothing special about Rochester, but they have been lucky. This year, that was not the case. I stayed nice and dry, good to go. But I do appreciate being back in the home office today because that means I wasn't at camp at the crack of dawn with Joe Brady and the Bills.
It's good to hear that Scott made his way up there with you. I'd love to, I would love to think that maybe some of that wisdom maybe rubbed off on him, but it's not true in my case. It didn't, because I've never been thinking. Could you think of any time in all the years we spent at camp there together at St. John Fisher of me being up there in the press box with you?
No. But you're not alone. Nobody else is either. I'm like the lone wolf up there.
And you can't see on the field anyway. Because especially you got to go to one of the ends really to see anything.
The whole sideline, we stand behind on the track, and the sideline is just filled with either players, coaches, or staff. We can't see. There's never a clear view. Plus, you're on ground level, so it really is hard to decipher, what's happening. When you go upstairs, you get a great panoramic view, which is why I'm able to talk with some education here, Adam, as you're going to ask me questions about the Bills defense today, because I saw things happening.
It all speaks to just supreme experience.
Just being a veteran. Just being an old veteran on the beat. Yes.
Grizzled as it may be, but that's a classic example. All right. So, Mr. Veteran, let's get into some of what you and Jim Leonard, new defensive coordinator, talked on Thursday, and that's a big thing because, obviously the biggest question surrounding this team heading into this season, and if it's going to achieve the Super Bowl standard and those expectations, right, is going to be the performance of the defense with the change with Sean McDermott being fired, Leonard now running things on the defensive side. And so FanDuel, presenting sponsor for this show and others on the Believe network of podcasts, right, these are the ranks heading into the 2026 season. Scoring defense, they project them as the 11th ranked scoring defense in the NFL at 21.6 points per game. Total defense, project them at surrendering 341.5 yards a game. That's 17th overall. I can maybe see that rank in total defense, but when I saw 11th in the National Football League with the number of questions surrounding this team at some key positions, and just with a new scheme and the ramp up to that and a tough schedule, 11 seems a little bit high to me. Does it to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, let's just be upfront here. I don't know how they come up with these figures, all these companies that project these things. It's such a random number, but all I can tell you is if the Bills end up with the 11th best scoring defense, that's pretty good. That would indicate to me the Bills are going to have a hell of a good year, because we've talked about this offense. Not a lot is changing on the offense. I think they are still going to be a team that can put up 28 to 30 points a game, which is what their average has been the last few years. So if they're doing that still, and again, no reason to believe they won't, and the defense is you're going to tell me the defense is going to be ranked 11th in scoring, I think the Bills are winning a lot of games. It just seems like a difficult task. Like you said, schedule and the new scheme and all the complexities that go with installing it, bringing in new players and schooling the holdover players to play a whole new style of defense. I think it's a lot to ask for the Bills.
All right. So speaking of current players and schooling them, I think near the top of that list is Greg Rousseau, right? Pass rush, that's the area that they need significant improvement. And Rousseau going from the 4-3 to the 3-4, where he's essentially an outside linebacker. That's a big adjustment for him at this point of his career because, all he's played is 4-3. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
His entire, not just pro, all the way coming up at Miami and everything else, right?
Yeah.
So now he's in a new spot, but there's potential there at the same time. And I think listening to some of what Leonard said, talking about giving him a little bit more space with his length and all of his attributes, maybe trying to unlock him on a more consistent basis that way. What's your take on what Leonard had to say and what you've seen?
Yeah, look, to me, Rousseau is one of the pivotal players in this new defense because he is facing a big transition. You look at the defense as it's constituted, Adam, the guys who are going to be playing on the interior defensive line, okay, Ed Oliver, Deion Walker, TJ Sanders, go right down the list. They're kind of playing, they're just moving a couple feet one way or the other. They're still playing a position that they've played most of their careers in college and the NFL. There's not a whole lot that's going to be different there. Same thing for the inside linebackers, Bernard Williams, the rookie Elam Zor, whoever you want to say. That position is sort of it's very similar to what the Bills have played in their old defense. Nothing changes really for the corners and safeties. Doesn't matter what the scheme is up front, they're still doing the same things. Those outside linebackers, that's going to be the difference. And on this team, you've got Chubb, who has played that position. Michael Hoyt has played that position in this style of defense in the past with the Rams. The only guys who really have a big transition are Greg Rousseau. TJ Parker, the rookie, I don't think he played outside. I think he was more of a 4-3 defensive end type. I don't think he played too much stand-up. So it'll be a big adjustment for him. I guess Javon Solomon you can throw in the mix. Even Mike Dana. Mike Dana has played as an outside stand-up linebacker. So Rousseau, to me, given his status on the team, he has the biggest transition to make. That's going to be a change for him to stand up, not have his hand on the ground. I don't think he'll have much coverage responsibility. We've talked about this, Adam. I don't think really his role will change much. He's still going to be going forward most of the time. But I think his transition to the defense is bigger than anybody else's on the Bills. And that's going to be something to watch this summer for sure.
Another player to watch, Ed Oliver, right? Because we heard a lot during the offseason program about how he's excited. They're trying to free him up, allow him to penetrate on a more consistent basis. What did Leonard have to say about him?
Yeah, he did say that. He said that about Rousseau, too. They think that moving Rousseau, because he's going to be off the ball a little bit and a little bit maybe wider, I would guess. They think that extra space will allow him to be the athlete he really can be. When you're a 4-3 defensive end, you're pretty much engaged right away at the ball snap with an offensive lineman or a tight end or both, right? They think by having him off the ball just a little bit, standing up, he can use his athleticism much more effectively. The same thinking with Oliver. Now, I think it's going to be to a lesser degree for Oliver, right? We just said it. He's really not moving too far. He's still going to be in the middle of the trenches. So it doesn't make, I don't think, a huge amount of difference for him. But whatever difference it's going to be, Adam, they think it's going to be a positive for Oliver because he, too, is the kind of guy who is more quick than stout. And they think if they can get him in a little bit more space, he can do more things, not only as a pass rusher, but even as a run defender.
In terms of early storylines in this camp, you mentioned a guy, the rookie, Elam Zor, at linebacker. He's getting a pretty good look at this point, right? A couple of practices been given some reps as a starter, and right in the middle of that defense as the lead communicator, which is something he has experience with, and a role that he seems to be gravitating to well, again, at a very early point here.
Yeah. Look, we could cover old ground here because we've talked about it numerous times. I still believe they should have drafted an inside linebacker with that first pick in the second round that they had. They didn't do it. They waited to the fourth round to get Elam Zor out of TCU. We'll see. Maybe Bean knows what he's doing. Maybe he had this guy targeted at that spot, which would have been great value. And maybe the kid will be a great player for the Bills. He did this role at TCU. He was there. They don't have I don't know if they have a green dot in college, but he was definitely their leader on defense. He was the guy relaying the calls. And he is a leader. Just when you talk to him, you can tell the kid's got something about him. He feels like he has those leadership qualities, which you have to have at that position. You're in the middle of the defense. So he's gotten a lot of runs so far. Remember, in the off-season program, Bernard was very limited. He was out there a little bit, but he was limited. And then Dorian Williams, who revealed to us the other day, he had a microfracture in his knee. That's why he was on crutches at the end of the minicamp. So Elam Zor was getting a lot of first-team reps even back in the spring. And here we go, training camp starts. And the first couple days, Bernard, well, in fact, the second day in particular, Bernard and Williams hardly did anything. They were not on the field for 11 on 11. They did some individuals. So there's Elam Zor right in the middle with the first-team defense, him and, surprisingly, Keonta Jenkins. It wasn't Joe Andreessen. It was Keonta Jenkins with the first team. So he's getting a lot of run. And look, Bernard's status on the team, he's got to find a way to stay healthy and get back to the player he was in 23. If he doesn't do that this year, Adam, he is a real candidate to be a salary cap casualty next year. He's getting paid a lot of money. They could move on. And then Dorian Williams is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. If they don't re-sign him, Elam Zor could be right now auditioning to be the future green dot guy on this defense.
Do you think that had to be part of Bean's plan, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, again, I thought he could have addressed it earlier with some players that, if all the draft analysts are right, those guys all went in the second round. You think they're better players. Maybe they just felt their scouting on Elam Zor really revealed something about how he can play in this defense. We'll see. I mean, you know how the draft is. It's a totally inexact science. We never know what these kids are going to be. Maybe they found a gem in this kid. For the Bills' sake, I hope so, because I believe they're going to look back on that draft, depending on what TJ Parker does and what some of those second-round linebackers do. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a point of contention if Parker doesn't come through.
All right, let's get to the secondary here. And another key position battle to watch, right, is corner CB2. What's going on with Igbinosun and Haristen, and the lack of depth at that position. Obviously, you have Benford on the other side as your lockdown guy.
Very clear. Go ahead.
Yeah, but what have you seen? I mean, that is a huge – if I was over there, I mean, that would be a position I'd be looking every day to kind of get a read on who has the edge there and how things are trending.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's early. It's only 2 days, but to me, it's been very clear that job is Max Harrison's to lose. He's been taking – I mean, I haven't watched every single rep at him, but every time I seem to look up and they're in 11 on 11, Max Harrison is getting the first team reps. And when they go to the sub packages, then Igbinosun comes in. So I think they are feeling like Max Harrison should win this job. He's got the extra, half season of NFL experience. And they drafted Igbinosun to be, their third corner. Now, again, we'll see how it transpires. Injuries are going to be a factor because Max proved he couldn't stay healthy his first year. The preseason games will determine a lot. But right now, I think they're banking on Max Harrison being the starter, Igbinosun being the backup to both boundary guys. And as you mentioned, the depth is, to me, I asked Brandon Beane about it. I asked Jim Leonard about it. They do not have quality depth, let alone experience. They don't have it at the boundary spot. And I asked Beane point blank, if somebody were to get hurt, is Trey White your first call? And he said, they've kept in contact. And he said he's sure that Trey is keeping himself in great shape, but nobody has signed Trey White, which you wonder if maybe Trey White wouldn't be the first call. But Adam, you and I have talked about this all off season. It feels like they missed an opportunity to add a veteran corner because I think they need one as an insurance policy. Now we'll see who gets cut later on in training camp.
You still might see that happen.
Maybe they're waiting for somebody and they'll get somebody later on, which we've seen them do. But right now, they are very young at that spot.
Yeah, thin ice at that position. No question about it.
They can't afford an injury. And again, even they can't afford an injury, we still don't know what Max Harrison is. We certainly don't know what Igbinosun is. I mean, there's a lot of question marks at cornerback right now for the Bills.
Well, you heard Sal mention the rainy weather over in Pittsford. It affected Buffalo, Western New York as well. My wife and I are out doing errands, and this is just a small thing. But we had ordered some Instacart, and it's raining, and the Instacart driver, you have to leave it outside our garage or whatever. It's pouring down rain. So the Instacart driver, to make a long story short, doubles back, comes back when the shower had stopped, had passed, waited to deliver the groceries until then. Small thing, right? But makes a big difference. It may not seem like much, but when someone goes the extra mile or the extra step, takes that extra step, it makes a positive impression. And if you're hiring, great candidates can also go the extra mile and take the extra step and tell you why they're interested in your job on ZipRecruiter as a way to stand out from others. ZipRecruiter has a new feature that shows you the most interested qualified candidates first, so you meet the right people faster. Powerful matching technology that finds qualified candidates quickly. Try ZipRecruiter and meet great candidates who go the extra step for your job. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Sticking with the secondary, speaking of injuries, a guy who's had to overcome a lot of them early in his career, Cole Bishop, though, to be able to hit the ground running and, get the starters reps healthy at this point, that's big and an opportunity to build on. I mean, he showed a lot last year, and this is a big season for him. Obviously, they're relying on him to a great degree, but he seems like a guy who's in a good position to build on his success from last season. What have you seen from him so far, and is he showing you indications of that?
Yeah, look, it's a big time right now for Bishop in training camp because A, he's got to learn a new defense. B, he's got a new partner back there, Gardner-Johnson. Everybody's new back there. Geno Stone's going to be a new player at safety, so they've got to figure out how these guys play together. And it wasn't great that he missed time in the OTAs and minicamp with, I forget what injury it was. It's something new all the time with Bishop. So he lost some of that time. It's good that he's healthy right now and he's able to get out there. But it was interesting when I asked, I forget who asked Leonard about, it might've been me, but I forget. It probably was somebody else. Bishop was referenced in the press conference on Thursday. And he said, it's going to be interesting for Bishop because he had his breakout season last year in a previous defense. So you come into a new year, new defensive coordinator, new scheme, and you wonder, was all that progress that he made in that old defense, can that be transitioned now to this new defense? He says, it's probably, not out of the question that he's a little bit panicked because, he had so much success last year and now things are going to change. I think Leonard believes that Bishop's going to be fine. He even made the point, which I didn't agree with. It sounded like coach speak to me. He thought it was actually not a bad thing that Bishop missed time on the field because that afforded Leonard to get more one-on-one time with Bishop, like really drill down, in the meeting room and whatever else. I don't know. I still think being on the field is more helpful, but he tried to paint it in a positive light that gave me a chance to really sit down with him and teach him the defense, on the big board, right? We'll see. But I thought it was interesting that he said that.
Well, especially when you guy with Bishop, when you look at the things we've criticized him for in his development, the time it's taken him to get up to speed, his athleticism is the reason they drafted him. It's the reason why Sean McDermott went after him. Football instinct, on the other hand, has been a question mark with him. So you do wonder, that's a very legitimate point and something to watch moving forward, how quickly, instinctively he can begin to react, within a new scheme with, new assignments or whatever, a new dynamic to kind of understand and move forward with.
I think he has the football instinct. I just think he struggled, especially, he got hurt that first year. He missed so much time. He never really found a groove in that first year. He was playing better at the end. He was playing in the playoffs for them, but I don't think he ever got his feet under him in that first year. It started to come last year. And I think his instincts are good. He's a good athlete. He's got the instinct. The issue with him has always been the health. And then, he as a safety, you make a mistake, you pay for it, right? So he's made a couple mistakes, but I think he is a good player. he should be able to adapt to this scheme with no problem. And as Leonard has pointed out, so is Brady, this scheme should be better for Bishop because he's not going to just be playing the deep half in the back end. They're going to move him around all over the place. They can bring him down in the box because Gardner-Johnson has that same versatility. I think this is the best thing about this Bills defense. Leonard says they're going to be aggressive up front. Great. Everybody says that. But I think they're going to be able to show multiple looks in the secondary, which Sean McDermott did a good job with. But Sean, he liked to have his 5 guys back there, and that was it. I think this team, they're going to use more than 5 guys to really give teams a lot to think about, and Bishop will be part of that. He might be in the slot one play. He might be right up at the line in a run defending position, or he could be back deep. That's going to be interesting to watch with Cole Bishop.
So Josh Allen referenced that, right? I mean, it's been tougher to kind of decode what they're doing defensively because he was so used to what McDermott's scheme through the course of his entire career. So now this is something different. I
asked him that point blank. I said, did it get to a point where it was just too stagnant and you just knew? And he said, yeah. He said, I wouldn't call it stagnant. That was his exact words. But he did say, I did kind of know what the calls were going to be. So he thinks this will be good for him in the offense too, because they're going to get some different looks from Jim Leonard here.
One offensive note before we wrap it up. Over 2 days now, we talked about this after day one, but again, there seems to be a positive connection forming between Josh Allen and DJ Moore, who's now the top receiver. Again, it's early. You don't want to make too much out of it, but this is the type of trend that you want to see, what you would certainly hope to see, given the magnitude of that offseason mood and the trade move and the trade acquiring more, to see this chemistry developing at this point.
Yeah, and they are making a concerted effort to get on the same page. They did this in the spring too, and Allen said that it'll be a work in progress. And again, the first 2 days it's been difficult, Adam. It's been wet. There's been some balls that Allen hasn't thrown well because the ball was wet. There's been some drops, but I did notice that him and DJ Moore are getting on the same page. There was a deep ball Thursday. I think there was a coverage breakdown, but Moore got wide open. Allen drilled a 60-yard bomb touchdown to him. There was another play. It was a play over the middle, and you could just tell DJ Moore he just knows what he's doing. He runs routes really well, and he snatches the ball. You could just tell the way some guys, you could just tell the way they catch the ball. They really know what they're doing, and he has plucked some balls out of the air. There was another one to the sideline. It was a great play by both of them. Great throw, great catch. That's going to be a difference-making aspect, I think, of the offense, is just he's so precise in how he runs routes, and he can catch the ball. I'm not going to say he's, Stephon Diggs in those prime years, but I think he's going to help the Bills. Anybody who thinks that he's just some other guy, I think they're wrong. I think he's truly a number one type receiver for them.
Now, I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think either of us have ever questioned that he brings a lot to the table. It's just, does he bring the true downfield threat, stretch the field?
And I don't think, Adam, they expect him to be the true downfield burner type that some teams have. I think they want him to be dominant in that intermediate area. If a guy can get deep and he can get deep, great. But I don't think they were looking specifically for DJ Moore to do that, because if they were, they're looking in the wrong place, right? I mean, he's got good speed, but he's not going to be a guy that's just going to run a fly route and beat the corner by 3 steps usually. So I think as long as he is productive in that downfield intermediate range, which I thought was a problem for the Bills last year, then that's going to be a big improvement to the offense.
All right. Any other items you want to pass along here before we wrap it up? Other observations over the first couple of days?
Left guard is truly a competition. Again, I'm not watching every single rep, but first day it was Alec Anderson with the first unit. Second day it was Austin Corbett. So I think those guys are going to give them 50-50 opportunity to win this job. I want to believe, I think that Alec Anderson is the front runner. But we'll see. There's a lot of things that have to happen yet before we get to that point. But it's truly going to be a competition. It was also good to see Kincaid. Kincaid has been, out there for everything. He looks good. So I was happy to see that. And then on defense, Nothing really other than what we've already talked about has caught my eye. Gardner-Johnson is definitely mouthy. he definitely brings a vibe to the defense. Yeah. The whole training camp, the reporting day snafu with his stupid streaming live on Twitch. Yeah. Look, that's what he does, man. And the Bills are going to have to. I mean, Brady, I think, handled it the right way. You know, he just basically said, "Look, you can do it. Just be respectful." And I hope that they iron that out, and it's not going to be a problem. But this is why this guy's been on 5 teams in the last 3 years. Right? He brings that certain element, and the Bills have to figure out a way to handle it properly, because I think he will be able to help them on the field, Adam. He's a playmaker. And I like the vibe. I like the energy he brings to a defense that, you know, maybe needs a little bit of that. So definitely notice him out there. I can tell you that.
Well, if they can just aim that, whatever that vibe is, kind of aim it in the right direction. Right. And so, yeah. But I mean, that's an early, it's not a test for, I suppose it's all a test for Brady. But for him,
I think it is. I think it was a test, man. That was the first time where he had to step in and kind of sort of lay the law down a little bit.
Yeah, kind of take a little bit of the fire extinguisher out.
At least that we see.
I mean, flames. Right.
Maybe he's already done it in prior. Who knows? But I mean, we saw that because it got on social media. But I think he handled it the right way. He didn't like talk the player down. He just said, "Look, dude, you can do what you want to do, but just be mindful of your surroundings." And it seemed like Gardner-Johnson was okay with that.
All right. Positive signs, good vibes at this point. 2 days into camp.
On what? July 31st, right?
On July 31st.
We'll see. We'll see how positive it is.
There's still a lot going on, though. I mean, we're talking about with a new coach and new defensive scheme, you know, a lot of times under McDermott, this would get sort of repetitious, right? And obviously injuries would be a factor, and there were storylines, but these are very legitimate angles now. I mean, there's a lot of kind of meat on the bone journalistically, and as you follow this team to kind of digest and figure out. So I think there's a higher degree. It's more interesting, this camp and this preseason, in a lot of respects than it has been in the past.
And you knew it would be, because look, under Sean, we kind of expected. We knew what we were going to get. This is something new for sure. Now, is it going to be better? We'll see. Yep. But yeah, it is definitely more. There are some storylines to follow here.
All right, Sal Maiorana, great job as always. Sal Maiorana, Rochester DNC. Read his Bills coverage daily there. I am Adam Benigni of WGRZ-TV. Sports Talk Live Buffalo. We got a special edition of Sports Talk Live coming up on the 17th of August, 7 p.m. on Channel 2 to tackle a lot of these issues as well on the TV side. So mark your calendar for that. The show is on hiatus for the summer. It's back week 1 as always. But again, August 17th, we have a special edition of the show with John Scott, Vic Carucci, and myself. So for Sal Maiorana, I'm Adam Benigni. Thanks for being with us here on Believe in Bills, presented as always by FanDuel.